Marfoogle TV live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. So, obviously, if you haven't heard by now, there were 2 National Guardsmen that were shot today. Now, this is the crazy part. There is conflicting reports from the highest levels, including officials that are tweeting out that they have both passed, and then there are then retweets or tweets then that came out later that say, sorry, I got that wrong. They're in critical condition. So a lot of the prayers are actually still needed, right? But you'll see here in just a second, the D.C. gunfire suspect blasted 2 National Guard troops in what they are calling, again, like I said earlier on my news video, a targeted shooting. Now, we didn't know if this was like, a crime that was going down and these National Guard step in and they're targeting these guys because they're getting in the way, or targeted. They're saying targeted as in they went down there to, deal with these guys, right? And that's a huge difference. Now, again, this happened very close to the White House. So the White House ended up going on a temporary lockdown, or at least that's what they were saying at the moment. Obviously, that makes sense. If this is something that happens like this, and it's not just 1, but 2 National Guardsmen, they're thinking, what the hell's going on? And again, they essentially said that this person was these 2 people were in critical condition. The president actually put out that he was in critical condition, and then ended up, Pete Hegseth made it sound like they were goners, and now there's back and forth. So they still could perish if they are alive. Either way, what matters to us as preppers and news from a prepper standpoint is what could happen from this event and how this could go sideways, and really what to look for. So first of all, we have all been divided. If you haven't seen, today has been vitriol on Twitter. I mean, it's been bad for the last couple of years. I almost laugh watching back, that interview with Elon back when they were trying to say that, Twitter was so bad. Back at that point, Twitter really wasn't bad at all. And the reporter was made to look like a dumbass because basically he was like, well, so what hate have you seen times 5? What exactly have you seen? And then the reporter ended up saying, well, I'm not on there anymore. He's like, well, how do you see it if you're not on it? But now it really is bad. Both sides. I saw at least 10 videos. It's almost like they're coordinated of people saying, happy about these guys getting taken out. And then on the other side, I see the right side saying, we need to go where these people are. We need to take these people out, and all these people that are cheering for this, we need to fight with them. It is getting absolutely crazy. So there is more division than ever. And now it's getting nasty, like actual threats towards each other's parties, all of this. It's just nuts. So it is a nightmare for, everyone right now, especially, anybody that's paying attention understands where this could go. So again, this is, it's conflicting reports. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Now, before we go over to you, I do want to remind you guys, we're completely independent. If you do want to support us in a different way, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, they are doing a massive sale over there. We're actually going to go into that in just a second. We're going to cover the rest of the news. We're actually going to cover everything that's going on from all the world stuff. So just stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else.
It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
News I use, Marfoogle News, where I get my truth. Marfoogle News.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. So, got a lot to go over, and yes, it is an early show. Again, we are going into a lot of stuff in this show, and we're going to get to it early because both Dex and I both have family for Thanksgiving and all of that to get ready for. So thank you guys for coming in early. Hopefully you saw the Twitter post about the early show. I appreciate it. All right, so I want to, before we move on from this, because this was, when this first happened, it was super conflicting, first of all. I did the video after about an hour. I could have done it in the first 15 minutes, but in the first 15 minutes, information was super wacky. Like, one tweet was, before even mainstream media had it, before any of the networks, there was live videos going out. So a couple of them, I believe, got taken down. There were live videos, there were posts, there were pictures, there were guesses and all this. And it was like so wild. One guy said that the National Guardsmen were taking out people left and right, and then the other were saying that the National Guards. So I waited about an hour and a half to do that video, and now it's even more confusing because now there's more conflicting reports. But Dex, if people are going after this, they're going to say that this is, rhetoric getting to the people, and they're going to attack. The other side is saying, oh, well, look at who the guy is. The brief pictures they're showing right now looks like a white gentleman. So now they're thinking, how can their side spin this? It's not somebody from another country, this and that, which is making a lot of assumptions. Dex, what did you think when you saw this? I mean,
look, there's already headlines blaming Trump because he put the National Guard there. If the National Guard wasn't there, they wouldn't have had this harm done on him, which is asinine because the person who did it is the reason why it happened at the end of the day. And then the question then becomes, was he acting alone? Was he encouraged, incentivized, conspiratorized with others? What other connection may be there? And I'm sure they're going to look through all that, and I'm sure we'll be told some version of the narrative. Whether it's true or not, time will tell. We may be told nothing, kind of like we are in a lot of these other cases, like the person that tried to assassinate Trump and the person who took out Kirk. Like, all that stuff is just gone silent. So we'll see. But look, this is, again, like you said, it's a major divisive event. If it's done the way it's been described, it's obviously looks like, as they're calling it, a targeted shooting. It looks like that, and it looks like somebody intended to do it. So the question is there more of this type of action, or is this just a extreme edge case, one-off from the division that's been created, or is this going to become the new norm? Is this going to become the reality? Are we going to start to see this type of action amplify? And are we on the precipice of, civil conflict, as many people have said for years now? Even we've talked about how everything just keeps driving us towards this major division amongst the population of the U.S.
Now we'll attach that picture of somebody said a person from a certain type of area, and that's the first thing I thought with the full beard too. I'm not going to say it because, again, I'm not going to be like 90% of people out there. They're taking a blurry ass photo and they're going, oh yeah, no, look, it's a guy named Steve or something. We don't know. And just like how people rioted before they even saw body cam footage half of the times, it's like, we should wait. That's what people should be doing right now, is waiting and to see what the heck this is. The thing is, DC and New York, Boston, Chicago, these are places that have a huge problem with homelessness and mental illness. I know Seattle does. You could have somebody who's talking to themselves and sees voices and sees the uniforms and has PTSD from their time in war. You never know what this is. That's the thing. And people are so quick to act, so quick to judge on what's going on. And it only makes it worse that, half of the articles are taking things straight out of Twitter from a regular Joe that's just throwing out his out of his rear end guess. With stuff like this, it's really important that we do try to wait and get everything accurate because it's serious. This is super serious.
So Jan Turner, 7 in chat just said Fox News had identified the suspect, his nationality. So I just went and checked, and it is their biggest headline right now, saying the suspect identified as an Afghan national.
Everything is so. Do you guys believe anything that's coming out right now? It really, to me, you could immediately jump on the bandwagon and go, "Oh, this country and that this is doing." These are ops, okay? Something is super wrong with everything that's going on, from Kirk to the attempt on the president. All of these things are connected. All of the stuff that's going on with Venezuela, Russia, China, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, all of it is connected. These are ops by other countries. And what's so funny is everybody's like, oh, we're pointing it towards this way, right? And then they're immediately going to say, oh, yeah, this is somebody who shouldn't be here. Probably not, right? But then that just weaponizes this whole big argument about that instead of the underlying thing here on top of the big issue, which most of you guys know where I stand on it. On top of that, something else is wrong here. Something very wrong is happening right now. And people don't ask the questions like, could this be a paid op by somebody else? This is it reminded me of the DC sniper guy. When I first saw this in the first 15 minutes, Dex, was that the first thing you thought of too? Obviously it's DC, but how it was multiple and it was the coverage in the first minutes reminded me of when the story was breaking about the DC sniper. It just something like took me back in time to that. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. I could see how you could feel that from the coverage and the way it was. But you're spot on. Like this, at the end of the day, what's gonna matter is what was the motive and where was the funding and how did this come about, right? Like who all is behind it, and is there any state sponsorship behind it? And of course, if there is, they always have layers between them and any action they're taking so that they can have plausible deniability or even outright complete clarity that they're not involved, even if they were. I am just completely speculating here, but if it is Afghan, it could easily be China who's working in that country right now and paying somebody to do that and saying and they can completely cut all the ties off from it and it not point the finger back to them. I'm not saying that's the case.
What was the airport?
As an example.
What's the
Bagram?
Bagram. Oh my God. Oh man, then that points not towards some Eastern country. That points towards us. So do you guys remember a few months ago, Bagram Air Base, there was 72 different loads of flights in there or something, and they essentially said that they believed that CIA agents were flying into Bagram. And at that point, we thought, oh, they're going to take over Bagram. That's exactly. And I forget the operation name, but it was back in 2002, right after 2001, that event happened. They sent in CIA agents. This is all public knowledge now. They declassified it. They have documentaries on it. I can't remember the operation name. Operation Dolphin or something like that. But regardless, there was an operation where the CIA went into Bagram Air Base with millions of dollars, suitcases full of millions and millions of dollars. And because we didn't want to put boots on the ground yet, we didn't want to declare a full-scale war yet. This is before the shock and awe and all that. They wanted to pay off local, militias and all of this. So they would be giving them cash. So we would have a force on the ground without having a force on the ground. Now, just a few months ago, Bagram Air Base had these guys come in. And some people go, whoa, what are you trying to imply here? I'm not trying to imply anything. But I do find it's kind of crazy that this is from that country. I wonder how long has he been here? Has he only been here a few months? Is that going to find? And then are they magically going to have some sort of, manifesto? How is it every time there's always such a super like over the top, like I'm trying to get famous, drill a name into the bullets, like the bullets thing on all accounts, the health CEO guy and the Kirk thing. It's like all of these things are just so over the top. And then the text message basically laying it out, saying there was a vehicle there and all this, like it sounded like a Popo wrote it. And then, I almost guarantee there's going to be a manifesto for this guy. And he's going to say something about, fascism or something in it.
You remember when all the people were trying to leave Afghanistan and under Biden, and they were jumping on the plane wheels and everything, and they were doing everything to bring people here, and they were bringing them to all these different locations. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So apparently Lockenwall is the person's name. Lockenwall entered the U.S. legally in 2021 under the humanitarian parole as part of the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome in the aftermath of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. So that's how he came in, according to the officials that are reporting this on Fox News at the moment.
I don't know. Do you guys just... Does your spider sense go off here? I don't know. Something just always doesn't sit right. Jan Turner 7, thank you for gifting out 10 badges. That's super awesome. Make sure for the 10 people that just received badges, make sure to thank Jan T. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for supporting independent. It has been rougher and rougher on this platform, especially with all the AI junk that is getting loaded up. People get bombarded and they start swiping and they get lost and then they forget why they're even here. I know because I've done it. I went to go find the freaking instructions to change fuses on my car and ended up on some sort of rabbit hole of some sort of super laser drill thing. It's just stupid. And then we have the president threatens Venezuela's Maduro with the easy way or the hard way. And I was just watching some show. It was like the 4th season of The Witcher or something, which they've also ruined almost every show. But it was last night that the guy was saying, do you want the easy way or the hard way? And that's such a cliche thing, but I guess that's what they're saying, right? The easy way or the hard way. Meanwhile, Venezuelan leader Maduro is doing interviews essentially saying that if you want to look at the real traffickers, look at the U.S., $500 billion in their banks, and that's all not from us, that's from their connections or whatever. The president has warned Nicolas Maduro he could do things the easy way or the hard way, as Venezuela's authoritarian leader responded to the growing U.S. pressure campaign by urging followers to prepare to defend every inch of South American country. Clad in woodland camouflage fatigues, Maduro told a rally in the capital in Caracas it was an historic duty to fight the foreign aggressors. Now, the videos of that actually did look like there were tens of thousands of people marching in it. And I'm sure the news is going to tell us that they are all forced to be there or paid or given free food or something. But we don't know what they're being told in their country, and we also don't know what is the actual truth. The thing is sometimes our country does something where they actually do screw with things because there is an overall good thing that needs to come for the United States, or later down the road we're protecting from national security, or there's just genuinely half the time it's about money, oil, resources, which most can say that they would rather have us have those resources than, China or some other country, right? But at the same time, it looks like a lot of people there, if there is a Kool-Aid to be drunk, they've been drinking it. So there was a lot of people there. They've been practicing nonstop. They've been drilling nonstop. They've been shooting mortars out into the ocean, and lots of videos, of course, circulating about all these military drills. And it looks like they're preparing for war. The scary part is not for us going to war with Venezuela. We'll crush them. Is if Russia or any other countries end up intervening. And I think that there's something... I'm thinking there's some way bigger thing going on here. Like Venezuela is the root of the path into the country, and that there was something else planned, and they caught wind of it, and that's why we locked down the border, Golden Dome, everything. So yeah, this is crazy. Dex, the easy way or the hard way.
Did you see that sword he was wielding in his speech?
Oh yeah.
I think there's a picture
pretty
of it.
Fancy.
But yeah. Apparently it was a ceremonial sword said to belong to independence hero Simone Bolivar. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, that's what Trump said, and
diamonds.
At the end of the day, they're not. It doesn't sound like they're in a position to say, "Hey, we'll negotiate. What do you want? Don't attack us." Instead, they're saying, "No, bring it on. We're going to defend ourselves." So I think it's going to be the hard way.
And then Russian general in Venezuela leading advisory mission. Ukraine's intel chief says, and it's coming from Ukraine's intel chief. And the reason I point that out specifically is because many people do not trust anything coming out of Ukraine at all, especially after the most recent scandal of tons of guys resigning because all of this money was getting funneled out again for like the third major time with the recruitment office, this last one, and then the 6 or 7 people right under Zelensky that all resigned after questions were asked about their supercars and super mansions on a soldier's payroll. So yeah, again, they say that the Ukraine chief says a controversial Russian general is now in Venezuela leading a rotational advisory mission. The head of Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate told the war zone exclusively. So again, they have depended on us for almost everything intelligence-wise. Now, maybe it's because, they are in a war with Russia, so they would have spies in Russia. So it does make sense. But it would make more sense that that the U.S. already has tons of spies in Russia. All of our allies have spies in Russia. We would know this. But maybe they chose to let Ukraine tell everybody so they could be like, that makes sense. Instead of, CIA saying it and possibly blowing the cover on one of their spies or something. This is something where maybe they outed a Ukrainian or something, but Colonel General Oleg Lotinovich Makarovich commands the Russian military's Ministry of Defense's Equator Task Force, and Makarovich is in charge of more than 120 troops, 120, which is a very small number, who are training Venezuelan forces on a wide range of military functions. So it doesn't matter, though, that this is 120 troops that are trainers, right? So they could train thousands and thousands of Venezuelans on the gear that they gift them. So very similar to what happened in Ukraine when they sent down guys to train them on our HIMARS and Patriots and man pads and tampons and whatever else that they gave them. So before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield if you haven't already. This is the device that will not only protect you against a CME from the sun, again, a Carrington-level event, but it will also protect you against any man-made EMP, a blast against the country, or a backpack device, or a major blast that knocks out the entire country's grid. If you want your own stuff to run, if you want your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators to run, then you need to have one of these wired into them. Most of them do not need any wiring. In fact, the modem versions are plug and play. The Inergy version for the generator is plug and play. Many of them are. The car one is 3 wires, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground or part of your chassis. 3 wires, less than 10 minutes. You can do it yourself. You don't need a mechanic or a handyman to do it. Now is the time to do it because they have the 25% off, up to 25% off sale, and our $50 off coupon, which again is per device, and it stacks on top of everything. So you get $1, $50, 2, $100, 3, $150, and then they're up to 25% off. Again, that is on all of their devices across the line. marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, that is marfooglenews.com/EMP and code MARF. All right. And let's go into the next piece, which is GPS interference snarls Venezuela as U.S. warns of hazardous skies. Dex.
Well, yeah. So here we have it, just like in Europe, just like we saw in Ukraine, and then it started spreading, into the Baltic areas and the Baltic states, and everybody was getting hit with GPS snarls. So an invisible wall of electromagnetic noise has descended over the Caribbean, forcing commercial flights to divert and cancel routes over Venezuela since late last week. So it's not just the fact that those NOTAMs were put out. And remember, we talked about the NOTAMs, notice to airmen, about potential events happening that had sort of a wide range from takeoff to landing to all the way in the sky, anywhere flying in and around Venezuela. The warning was put out. It wasn't just that these airliners have all said, you know what, we're not flying to Venezuela right now. They're also losing GPS. So, for a smartphone user on the ground in Caracas, the interference might mean, slow map load or jumping blue dot. But for an aircraft cruising 30,000 feet, the implications are far more severe. The disruptions are increasing amid the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean. That's included attacks on the alleged drug-running boats. They've taken out up to 80 people now, they're saying. The arrival this month of the world's largest aircraft carrier deepened uncertainty about what Trump's ultimate goal is, and the potential land strikes with Maduro. All of this is on high alert, obviously. So as a result, the skies over the country have become more and more of a no-go zone for commercial aircraft. U.S. Federal Aviation Administration issued a critical warning to pilots, which we talked about. That was November 20th, citing the heightened interference. And the data analyzed by media there shows that the electronic disruptions began surging weeks earlier, coinciding with the naval buildup. So it makes you wonder who's in charge or who's causing the jamming right now. Is it the U.S. jamming GPS, or is
I think it is
this some of the Russian technology that Venezuela may have access to, and they're putting it up in defense, kind of like we saw in Ukraine?
No, I think the UPS is doing it because they don't want to deliver their packages. Probably because Putin's bombing the planes, right? But no, I think the U.S. is doing this, and I think it's because of this whole thing. This is why Venezuela, Maduro just came out and said, "I demand that international flights resume." Well, these flights probably saw that there's this wall of blockage, and they say as it's building up, there's this weird, fog of war that's growing over the Caribbean. It sounds like they are overwhelmingly disrupting every kind of thing they can over there because they're loading it up with, a chunk of our freaking Navy. I don't know how much of our Navy is over there, but that's a giant amount. 12 to 14 of our destroyers and our carrier strike group, submarines, aviation units, 15,000 troops. We don't know. They could. And remember, we just covered this. If you missed this last night or the night before, this is big. The funding and the money for this, right? They have approved to keep the same at current level, whoever's there right now. They have approved enough food and shelter and all of the other supplies that they need. They have already approved financially for that to keep going as is right now at the current level. So feeding 15,000 people, the amount there, and through 2028. Right now, they're showing, obvious images of them building up. They're making these temporary structures, mobile hospitals, command tents and things. And people aren't getting that this is building up to be something really fantastic in the worst of ways. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Eric's Place, thank you so much for supporting us. I appreciate that. Thank you. Wally, 8835, thank you for gifting out 5 badges, again with Jan T as well. Main Watcher, thank you as well for gifting a badge to a Fugel family member. Thank you guys. Yeah, it's getting wild. Oh, these wild and crazy kids. Top U.S. negotiator warned Europeans that Russia is stockpiling missiles. Well, you usually do that when you are planning on a big war. It was a stark warning to the skeptical audience of Western diplomats who gathered last week in Kiev to hear the Trump administration pitch its Russia-friendly peace plan for Ukraine. For years, Moscow fired missiles into Ukraine roughly as fast as it could make them, but now Russia is building up enough to amass a growing stockpile of long-range weaponry. Daniel P. Driscoll, the U.S. Army Secretary, told the assembled diplomats, according to two Western officials. The implication was clear. The official said that a settlement is needed quickly because of a rising missile threat that could deliver a knockout blow to Ukraine and spill over in its borders. I'm not saying I believe any of this. Again, I am so skeptical about everything that's going on here. But you have to look at all the potential ways that this could go. If this is at all, if there's any ounce of truth to this, maybe this is why they're pushing for this all of a sudden peace deal. I don't know. But it looks like they're ramping up and they're saving all their missiles. They're stockpiling them. You know what I'm going to say? Because they're expecting to use them for World War III. But people think that's crazy. People think that's fear-mongering. Even though we've had a decade of this coming and everybody knows it's going to come, it's not. We're past the point of no return with Russia. Like, even if we build back everything and send McDonald's and Coca-Cola and all these brands that left, I don't think it will ever be the same, at least not until after somebody lets off steam. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Dex, Germany warns Russia could attack NATO by 2029.
Yeah, so we moved it up from 2030 to 2029. Is that the new date,
in a couple days, actually?
Yeah. So, but look, the German Foreign Minister Johann Wadepool, I don't know.
What a fool!
Warned Tuesday that the new intelligent assessments show Moscow is preparing for the option of a future attack against NATO members, marking the third time this month that the senior German officials have raised alarms about a potential confrontation in the next 4 years. So in this case, we've heard these numbers range from 2030 to 2035 to 2027 to any day now, any hour now. But nonetheless, they keep talking about this specifically, and I guess maybe with the U.S. official over there telling them he's stockpiling missiles, that's another reason for them to believe that Putin is preparing for something large. That can, whether it's Ukraine related or just straight up NATO related. But Putin, quote, Putin's eyes the EU and NATO. Our intelligence services are issuing urgent warnings. At the very least, Russia is creating the option for itself to wage war against NATO by 2029. We have to deter further Russian aggression together with our partners and allies, according to the German Foreign Ministry. That's the quote they put out. These divisions, without a doubt, have their sights set on us, on the European Union and NATO. The threat to our country from Russia is no longer a distant concern. It is already a reality. So mind you, Germany wants to build the largest military, which is kind of odd when you think about it, because like if you go back in history and you think that's the country that's going to be the largest European military again, it's a scary thought, but I get it. It's a new Germany. It's a different Germany. It's not the same Germany from World War II. But look, they've recently moved military. First times they put troops outside of their own borders. I think they're in Latvia now, on the border against Belarus, and protecting that. So Germany is trying to position itself in a much stronger way in Europe, probably trying to unseat France, who with their nukes is trying to be the top dog in the EU. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that play out here, but at the same time, it's just another continuation of the warmongering from the European side to say, yeah, we're going to war with Russia.
I have to say, what is up with the freaking names today? When you said what a fool, it is, I mean, in English, if you read this, it literally looks like what a fool. What a fool. Man, if he lived in America, if he lived in America in the 80s, he would have been toileted. And then Breedlove. Again, this Philippe Breedlove. Man, what is the deal with the names today? All right, and then we've got China has unprecedented number of ships in the U.S. Arctic waters, DHS says. Considering they're opening up all of these new shipping lanes, and obviously we're locking down everything in the United States, but nobody's looking at China because China owns huge chunks of the mainstream media, so nobody's going to bite the hand that pays their bills. The United States military says it is taking a strategic approach to ramping up its presence in Arctic waters after a report by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security called China's visibility in that area unprecedented. I just want to point out, everybody today is talking about the fact that ICE and DHS now has warheads or whatever, and they're using it in these videos. Ignorant people on TikTok are saying they're going to use them against the people that are... I think there's a much simpler reason for this, and I think it goes along with what I've thought for a while, that over the last 40 years, along with those people that just came in for a better, life and wanted a better job and wanted a better, just in general, the American dream, there were bad people, 18 to 25-year-old military-age men that came in droves. There's evidence, there's lots and lots of evidence of this, of all of our adversarial countries. And you wonder, why are they loading up? Why do we have National Guardsmen in all of the sanctuary states? Why are they loading these guys up with potential warheads and missiles and things like this? And we're not talking about nuclear warheads. We're more talking they actually mentioned warheads in one of these reports, which everybody goes, oh, they're going to nuke us or something. They're giving them high-end weaponry to fight a potential threat that is already in the United States, that potentially already bought and purchased land under this whole, we're not talking about the enemy within, right under our noses is buying stuff right next to every single base. And people just ignore that. Whenever I mention the base thing, they're like, just because somebody buys land next to a base doesn't make them a bad guy. No, but when you line up every single base and you line this thing up like a freaking, like a war map, that's scary. Okay, every single base, there is land purchased, big parcels of land purchased right next to it by a certain country. And then now they're loading up all of these places that all of the places where they can't ask you where you're from, they can't do a background check on you for no reason. And again, I don't agree with people, popos rolling you down and asking for your info and give me your ID and let me see your papers. But again, that's where those people would be. And now all of those same places just happen to have National Guardsmen. Going back to today, 2 of them taken out, and now they're saying, oh, it's this angle or that angle. We don't know what angle it is. But one thing is for sure, something is going on, and I don't think it's what they're telling us. Would they tell us the truth? No, they are not going to. We're civilians. They're gonna keep this. I think it's a charade. I think all these people that said that this is all fear and this and that, they're gonna go, oh crap, it is right. And nobody's going to know what to do when this gets really bad. That's why, from a prepper standpoint, people should have a basic plan, should have food and water, should have, how to meet your family in case of emergency. How does that hurt you? That's what I don't understand. People that argue against it. How does it hurt to have to spend a few minutes, maybe even an hour a month going over a plan? Speaking of plan, if your power goes out, do you have a generator? We have a recommendation as far as a solar generator that you can keep plugged into the wall, and when the power goes out, you can have it, obviously get you through a storm or an earthquake or something like that. But also, it can get you through a permanent situation because this is a solar generator. Not only can you charge it from the wall when we do have power and we have everything that we're used to and we're accustomed to, but you can also get yourself some cheap solar panels, and then boom, you've got yourself unlimited power as long as the sun comes up the next day. Not only is this an awesome generator, it is a phenomenal machine that is reinforced with steel. This is the same exact machine that won the SBR Phase 2 contract. It's front-loaded in the U.S., meaning it's not going to have software loaded in China or some other country where they could turn it off or remotely hack it. In fact, it has no access to anything. So you know it's going to work when you need it. Not to mention, it is, again, has heaters built into every battery, so it's going to work in extreme, modded temps, from hot, the fan kicks on, to cold, the heater turns on. So yeah, it is just a killer modular generator. You can have one battery. You can quickly click the snaps, go from 5 to 1 to 40. It is very, very cool. Again, go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. Each battery is 1,000 watt hours. So you can go and get as many as you think you need. Do the math on what you're going to need it for, and then go from there. marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Remember, you can also get this EMP Shield protected. That means that it is going to be safe from everything. You don't have to put it in a Faraday box or anything. You don't have to equip your entire apartment with fencing like they did in, God, what horrible movie was that? The Darkest Hour. You don't have to do that. Anyways, marfooglenews.com/energy. Marfoogle is the code to use. You will get a big, big discount, especially right now. It's all of the sales are going on right now. And then fire tears through Hong Kong housing complex, taking the lives of at least 13, with others reported trapped. Before we go into anything, Wally8835, thank you again for gifting out 5 badges. And thank you to the mods. Thanks, awesome mods, for being here today. Make sure to go check them out on Friends. Dex, talk about this Hong Kong fire.
Yeah, this is a huge deal in the sense that I think the number is over 36 now, and hundreds are still missing. This hit several major high-rise residential towers, excuse me, in Hong Kong's Tai Po district. You look at some of these pictures, some of these towers are just completely engulfed from top to bottom. This is
how?
Yeah. So obviously it's way too soon, I think, to understand what may have caused it. Maybe we'll find out at some point. China decides to release that to the public or not. I'm sure they'll release something, but yeah, even like I think the last picture at the bottom where the guy's crying. I mean, that background scene, if you just see how many towers are engulfed. And by the way, they're still standing, so the fire didn't bring them down.
Oh, they must have a steel reinforced frame then. Huh. Yeah, because in history, I think we've only had 2 or 3 that have ever fallen that have had steel reinforced frames, or yeah, and from garbage cans catching on fire. So I get that fires and wind. First of all, the smoke isn't blowing like super hard left or super hard right, and it could be 2 hours after it was blowing. How did all of these buildings go up like this? We've seen high-rises very close to other high-rises go up for days. Some of them have burnt for 5 days straight and never have spread to other buildings. And they've stayed up that whole time. Not collapsed in their own footprint, but you guys get the drift. Well, maybe no drift. Maybe no air at all going from one building to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth, to the sixth. There's at least 6 buildings there. What? That looks like a sabotage or a pyro or a coordinated effort. I don't know. Is this a tit for tat? Is there something that's equivalent here that would have happened? I wonder what time this started. Did this happen and then all of a sudden something happens here that's really bad that hits the national news? I don't know. They're like, oh, let's do something really horrible, really, really, really close to the president or something. I don't know. In retaliation for something that maybe they smelled that was off. I don't know. But whatever's going on, that's a crazy fire. If it is natural, that is nuts. And then high-powered microwave technology is the holy grail of drone interceptors. Dex, we've covered a lot of the different technologies that go into, well, now the new race to find like the best defense for drones, right? Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, exactly. So as drone warfare continues to evolve at a dizzying pace, countries and militaries around the globe are racing to develop technologies capable of neutralizing these unmanned aerial threats, which totally agree. That's, one of the easiest things when we talked about the drone incursion in Poland was the fact that they were spending, $1 million, taking them down with $1 million missiles and all they needed to do was launch like 40, 50, or even 150 drones in there, and they wouldn't have enough munitions to take them down. So this is one of the challenges. We've even heard them talk about building the drone wall in Europe. So this is coming out of Israel. It's one of the Israeli defense companies. I believe the director of CUAS, Low Altitude and Air Missile Defense System at Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, is talking about the HPM, calling it the Holy Grail. So these high-powered microwave systems, which, for all intents and purposes, a year or two ago, we had to say didn't exist, but now they do. But this, directed microwave technology, if you to use those words, taking that beam and shooting it towards these drones is the way to take them out and take them out in a big way. So the HPM technologies are the next level up of the CUAS technology, which capabilities never seen before, following the operational use of laser interceptions technologies that we did talk about. I think the laser dome that they put up in Israel as well. I can't remember the name for it, but the laser based system that they had, which gave them more firepower. They didn't have to run out of munition. But Margaret explained that there are several CUAS technologies, from soft kill systems that use electronic warfare to more hard systems that are energy solutions like lasers or microwave technology, where we need sophisticated solutions because the threat is sophisticated more than missiles. With the threats becoming more complex, sometimes you have to play the game differently. And I know exactly what they're worried about. They're not worried about, onesie twosie drones here. They're worried about drone swarms. They're worried about, what happens when a coordinated effort of 1,000 drones is coming across the border, and they're all, controlled by AI, potentially all interconnected and coordinating in their attack and how they're going to maneuver and go about their attack. So, how do you take down a swath of drones like that all at once?
Like See Here Think says, like they did on Command and Conquer with microwave tanks, right? You got the one of the best games ever made, which I don't understand why they don't have console Command and Conquers now in the next gen, where you could have 10,000 units on screen. That would be absolutely my dream right there. All right. Especially now you can hook up like a mouse and keyboard to a PS5. All right, and then Dex, did you ever play StarCraft or Command and Conquer, or any of those? I know you.
If I did, it was briefly, not enough to know it and remember it.
Oh man, Red Alert was the best.
I recall Red Alert, but I wasn't a big gamer.
It overlapped with all the PC guys. Now, make sure to go check out Harvest Right, especially right now. We don't normally mention this many, but because of the Black Friday sales, we're mentioning all of the different affiliates that have really crazy deals. Harvest Right is one of the best machines on the market for freeze drying, and if you want to get into the hobby, it is not the cheapest to get into, but once you're into it, it actually saves people a lot of money. If you have a family of 2, 3, 4, and you're trying to get 6 months of food, this will actually save you money. It will actually pay for itself very quickly because of how much they are now charging for pre-made packaged freeze-dried food. Why you want freeze-dried food is it lasts up to 25 years. It keeps in almost all the flavor. It's extremely easy and small to keep. It shrinks down the food to where you can actually have 6 months of food and not take up half your freaking garage. So, and the weight of it too. Not to mention, if you have a bunch of canned food and rice and everything else, which you should have, you understand how much that takes up and the rotation on that. I told you guys, my sister had a lot of food here, and I had food, and we had them all in these bins, and it was like people criticizing me, were like, well, why didn't you rotate it out? FIFO. I know FIFO, I know all that, but it takes work when you have multiple kids. 4 kids, it's not exactly easy to sit there for hours and go through your canned foods and rotate them in and out. So I highly recommend this. Go to marfooglenews.com/freeze. It makes it very easy, especially if you don't have a lot of time. You put it in there. It's basically a set it and forget it system, and it's very easy. You push a few buttons, and then boom, you're done. 24 hours later, it pops out, and you're good. So go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/freeze. Talk to another Foogle family member that already has them. Ask what they think about them. And again, there's tons of communities online. There's communities on YouTube. It literally has become people's life. People they have clubs. I know people that meet up in clubs and they freeze dry different stuff and they do it for fun. It is fun.
You can beat inflation with this, can't you?
That's what people say. Especially once you have the gear. This is something where you also get to choose your dietary needs. You can also preserve food that you're throwing out. I mean, how many people have gardens and if they can't give enough to their neighbors, they end up throwing it out or wasting it or composting it. Freeze dry it and keep it. All right, you guys, I have a wonderful night. We did an earlier show tonight because we're both getting ready for our Thanksgivings. If anything, Dex, I don't think I don't think we've done Thanksgiving shows, but if there's serious stuff, I'll be on live tomorrow. If not, a show, it will be a cell phone video talking about what's going on. So there's been a couple years where I've been 365. So again, if there's something urgent, I'll be there to let you guys know. Thank you so much for coming, especially all of the mods. Again, lots and lots of awesome people here. Thank you so much, Wally. Thank you, Eric's Place. Again, thank you for not only joining the fam, but also gifting out badges. Wages World just hit 30 months. Fooglers, Mod Fam, Adam Dex, you make life better. Thank you for the happy Thanksgiving from quite a few people there. And Stephen McMahon saw a video that there's new tech for removing rare earths more efficiently and cheaply and clean. Stephen McMahon, I do not doubt it. I'm sure that they're spending a lot of money to invest in that kind of tech. Main Watcher, thank you so much. You guys have a great night. We're going to, again, see you in a couple days here, if anything. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shout. It's a shoutro.
Where I get my truth. Marfoogle News. Only news I use.
Big thank you, Stephen McMahon. Main Watcher, Wally, Eric's Place, and Jan Turner, top supporter tonight.